Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Valkyrie Volleyball on BFSD events here on YouTube. We got about 10 minutes left here, a little more than 10 minutes left here in the warm-up for the varsity, and we'll get that action. James LaFontaine, the voice of the Bikes and Owls, with you from Missoula, Montana, and Loyola. Sacred Heart, as the Valkyries will take on the Breakers in their first away match of the season. New head coach, a former assistant coach, former volleyball player for the Valkyries, Ariel Stalneck, in control of the Valkyries this year, assisted by Josh Feller and Alana Stalneck. Well, if you want to catch up action earlier in the C team took on Loyola this afternoon, tipped off first serve at about 4:15, and Bigfork was able to take that one 3-1. JV just finishing up, and the JV girls lost 3-0 to Loyola. So here is the big game, the big match tonight. And I want to thank a special shout out to my sponsors. Without that, these are official sponsors of Bigfork Fall Sports, including Bigfork Valkyries Volleyball and Bigfork Vikings Football, which we'll have for you on BFSD events coming up on Friday as the Vikings head to Cutbank. My sponsors this year are Bigfork Dental Center, Aaron C. Price, DMD PC, Bigfork Harvest Foods, Marcus Balgos and the gang up there. Bigfork Dairy Queen. Make sure you get out there. Fan food, not fast food. Gilliard Painting. Chip Gilliard and his painting crew. I'll give you some more details when I have that available. The Montana Athletic Club, Nancy and Doug Malum, thank you. What's keeping you from getting fit? Well, with discounted guest passes, personal training, Pilates, 850 Holt Drive in Bigfork, the Montana Athletic Club. And Janine and Tom Bobian from Tall Pine also sponsored. Pool tables, 9 TVs for all your game needs, big screen, and the kitchen's always open during football season. Located in the Old Town Center on Highway 35. And the UPS store, Brad Stodgehill and gang. For all your printing and shipping needs, contact the UPS store, 837-2002, located at 439 Grand Avenue in Bigfork. Well, I had a chance to speak to head coach Ariel Stalneck in her first year, and I'll have that for you briefly right after this. All right, James LaFontaine back with you, Bigfork Valkyries Volleyball, getting ready to take on the Loyola Breakers here from Missoula, Montana, and Sister Rita Mudd Activity Center, home of the Rams and Breakers. Like I said, I had a chance to talk with Ariel Stalneck, and here's what she had to say as first-year head coach of the Valkyries. All right, I'm sitting here with first-year head volleyball coach Ariel Stalneck. Talk about your first year as the head coach. I know you've been assistant in the past, and this team, the Valkyries, and how you guys did, up in Shoto at the Shoto Invitational.
Yeah, this is my first year with these girls, but not the first time I've coached them. I coached our seniors when they were in the 7th grade, so they're used to me, that's for sure. We did really good in Shoto. We really worked out the kinks, and I think it really got us warmed up for our first match here in Loyola.
So speaking of that, how do you look at this opponent, Loyola? I know you played them in the past.
I look at them as very comparable. We played against them last year in divisionals, and we played them twice in divisionals, and they were both very, very close games. We did end up winning, but that doesn't mean anything this year. But I see us as being a very comparable team, and I'm excited for this game. I'm excited to start out with this game.
Okay, speaking of that, you're facing Loyola. You have 3 seniors, and then you have a younger group. How are you experience-wise?
Experience-wise, I think we have a lot of girls that are stepping into their own here. I think that my seniors are finally getting their chance to shine, and I think I have some juniors that are really just having the opportunity to play their own game of volleyball, and they have the confidence that they didn't have this year, and I think that that's really going to show. I do have some young girls. We got a freshman on the team, and she's a hard hitter, but she's definitely still learning. And we're excited to see what all she's going to do for us. And other than that, my girls we got a lot of good volleyball players. We're just really, I think, still building that confidence as being still kind of like a younger team.
Getting used to playing with each other. You know, you got Josie Hallett, and you got Maggie Pizzola, and then you got Audrey Halverson are your seniors. And they're in key positions as well as your setter and your outside hitter.
We have, this is Josie's, I believe, 3rd year on the varsity, and Aubrey's 3rd year on the varsity, and Maggie's 2nd. 2 were returning starters. I think all the way around I have 3 returning starters is all. So that's when I say we're a young team. I mean, like, a lot of these girls are coming up from the JV this year and really having to step it up. But, my seniors are definitely my leaders this year, and I'm really seeing these girls take the position and run with it, and in a very positive way. That is all I can ask for. And they're really becoming leaders, and their biggest thing that I push on them is to be that person for the younger girls who they can look up to, and I think that they're really stepping into that. So
that must feel good as a coach and your seniors. They come in and, this is your first year, but now you're in charge, but your seniors take that role and really grasp it and want to be those leaders.
I'm really putting it a lot on them. It's my first year, and I'm doing things the way I do it and everything, and I have to really ask my seniors to be the enforcers on that and help me with that, because just certain things that I want done, if the seniors aren't doing it, then it's not going to trickle down throughout the program. And so I'm really asking a lot of them, and they've been really responsive, and I could only ask for so much.
Well, good for you. Thanks for joining me. Good luck today.
Thank you.
In the match, and your first. I know you played in that tournament. It's kind of
I know. I'm considering this our first match.
The first match of the year on the road at Loyola. So, Ariel, thanks for your time, and good luck today, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. First-year head coach Ariel Stalmacher, first match on the road as they take on. The Valkyries take on the Breakers here in Missoula, Montana at Sacred Heart, Loyola Sacred Heart High School, the Sister Rita Mudd Activity Center. And we'll see how they do. A little nerves, probably going to start for the head coach and the team as they get things underway. But like they said, they're young. Hey, let's take a look at the starting lineups. First of all, for Loyola, led by head coach Kelsey McFadden, assisted by Sarah Clement and Michaela Berry. The libero is a 5'5" junior. That's number 1, Brooke Twite. Outside hitter at 5'9", senior Sam Clevenger. Number 2. The setter is a junior, a 5'3" junior. Number 3, Molly McHugh. Setter and right side hitters, just a sophomore, 5'6". Number 4, Natalie Clevenger, the younger sister of Sam Clevenger. Outside hitter at 5'11", junior. Number 6, Lainey Denning. At 5'7", the middle blocker is senior number 7, Alexis Cooney. And senior middle blocker, 6 foot even, number 10, Avery Medeiros. So that's your lineup for Loyola. Take a look at the Valkyries and their lineup for today before we get ready to serve and get things underway. Meet the starting lineups as they're announced here and do the national anthem. The libero is going to be number 88, a 5'3" junior, Allie Richner. At 5'11", outside hitter, senior again. Number 8 is Josephine or Josie Hallett. At 5'5", Senior outside hitter, number 9, Maggie Pizzola. The setter, really a key position here. Senior at 5'7", number 2, Aubrey Halverson. Also a setter at 5'5", junior, number 3, Dana Sari. At middle blocker, 5'7", junior, number 4, Jessica Fry. And the freshman starts today, like Ariel talked about. Madison Chapius, a 5'8" middle blocker, freshman number 10. You see, interesting to see how she gets here and deals with this first year as a freshman and playing at the varsity level. Head coach, again, is Ariel Stelnick. Assistant coach on the JV action is Josh Feller, and the C team belongs to Lana Stelnick. Like I said earlier, it was the C team 3-1, giving Atlantis her first victory as the C team coach, and the JV took it on the chin, 3-0 in that game. We'll get underway here shortly from Loyola, Montana. As they're going to do introductions here, and they're doing the introductions, and we'll get underway here shortly. I'll be back with about 1 minute with first serve.
Attention, but yeah, that's all that she's getting. Her song is on and she's spinning around. Yeah, she got me drunk like Corona, heart racing like it's Daytona. Ooh, I'm in heaven, I swear right now. And those eyes can hypnotize. Was designed to blow my mind. Look what God gave her, how perfect He made her. She walks in the room, it's like He answered my prayers. The way that she moves, how could anybody blame her? I know she's got haters, but it ain't her fault. No, look what God gave her. It's like I heard angels singing, like she came down from the ceiling when she walked in here this evening. I thought, yeah, that girl 1 in 7 billion got everyone in me feeling like there's a fire in this building so hot. Got a smile on her angel face. I know I'll never lose my faith. Look what God gave her, how perfect He made her. She walks in the room, it's like He answered my prayers. The way that she moves, how could anybody blame her? I know she's got haters, but it ain't her fault. No, look what God gave her. Got that look in her eyes, swear she fell right out the sky. Yeah, I think I've seen the light. Every kiss I could
Loyola. And the national anthem just finished up, so they'll do the starting lineups, I believe, for each team. 406-270-7384. James LaFontaine, the voice of the Vikes of the House, with you. Let me know if you can hear me out there. I see Heather said yes, so I want to make sure this is the first game stream and everything's working so far. And getting ready to do the lineups. Of course, unfortunately, Miss Nissen is out. She had the injury during volleyball camp, and she had ACL and MCL surgery, so she is on crutches and won't be able to help out the Valkyries this year. That'll be a big miss for them. She had a great year last year, played a lot of JV, and came up and did some varsity, so we'll miss her inputs. And So we're going to get starting lineups right now. Yeah, for those of you listening out there, usually I have Bo change that streaming, so if you just listen live, ignore the Divisionals was the last thing that we did, so it'll always say that. I'm sure he'll fix that tomorrow, remind him. So thanks, Shannon, for listening out there. Christian Kerr listening in Billings as well. So we'll get underway. Jessica Fry getting introduced. Pizzola already, along with Ritzner. And that's Allie Ritzner. And Dana Sari, the junior. So mostly made up of juniors, 3 seniors, 6 juniors, and 1 freshman on the varsity team, as well as swinging up another junior, Olivia Ellison, who played a little bit of JV, and she's swinging up, going to play varsity as well for the Valkyries today. And Josie Hallett just getting introduced. I'm going to call her Josie. I know it says Josephine on the sheet, but you'll probably just hear me say Hallett last names when you get doing volleyball action. That's about all you can do. So hopefully I can keep up and you guys can hear what's going on. Here from Missoula Loyola. And now they introduce the home team, the Loyola Breakers. Pretty good crowd here on this side that I'm on. Pretty good crowd. We know that during basketball season, this place gets absolutely packed. You know, Bigfork and Loyola in volleyball, in football, in basketball, everything. A big rivalry, even though they're not in the same, conference, except for football in the Western Conference. But they meet each year usually in divisionals, and that's usually for a divisional championship or something like that. So this is a big match today for both teams, even though it is a non-conference match. I'm sure they'll see each other down the road coming up divisional times. So teams have been introduced. The referee's getting ready to go. And we'll check who has the serve first. Live from Missoula, Montana. James LaFontaine with you. Great to be with you for another season. Looks like we're bringing you about 4 volleyball games and 4 football games all on the road this year. Teams greeting each other and getting underway for Coach Ariel Stolmack and the Valkyries. First regular season match of the season for 2019. All right, referee's looking, making sure everybody's set right before let the libero in. Allie for Bigfork, Ritzner that is, and Twite, Brooke Twite for Loyola. And the serve will belong to Loyola, And serving first for the Breakers, it'll be number 3, the senior outside hitter, Sam Clev. Check that. The junior setter, Molly McHugh. Hallett puts up the fry. Spikes it down. Goes Maggie Pizzola, dug out by Loyola. Across. Nice dig by Aubrey Halverson. Hitting across and drops in front of Sorry. As a miss hit by number 6, Lainey Denning, but just barely gets across the net and drops in for point number 1 for the Breakers. And McHugh will serve again, leading 1-0. Hughes serve. Taken by Hallett. Hallett getting next across the net, and it can't be handled by number 7, Alexis Cooney, and point for the Valkyries. And they'll tie it at 1-1 on your Harvest Foods, a Bigfork scoreboard. Pizzola serving. In to Denning. Denning spiked down there by Sam Clevenger and drops in as Bigfork cannot dig it out. Dana Sorry trying to dig it out. 2-1 and side out to Loyola. And the serve on the way from Clevenger. And that's an ace right between Sorry and number 7, Shani Fox, who has just come in for the Valkyries. Clevenger to serve again, leading 3-1. Clevenger serve, and she hits it just a bit long. And side out to Bigfork, and that'll bring up Jessica Fry. Serving for the Valkyries, trailing by 1, 2-3. Serve on the way. Dug out by Denning. Denning. Spiked down and blocked by Bigfork, but returns it over into Bigfork side and drops in for a point for the Breakers. And a side out as number 14 comes in the game, Grace Daniel, to serve for Loyola. Serve on the way. Richner over to Halverson, and a spike by Hallett into the net. Clevenger along with Medeiros to block that, and point for Loyola. So Daniel will serve again, leading 5-2. Service. Dug out and out of play by Dana Sorry, and another point, 6-2 Breakers. Service on the way. Deep. Dug out by Sorry. Richner. Halverson will get it over the back. Dug out by Daniel. Daniel over to McHugh. Sets up Denning. Denning knocks it down. Spikes it down for a point for Loyola. And a 7-2 lead by the Breakers. And Daniels will serve. Sorry, gets it. Richner trying to be dug out by Hallett. She dives on the floor but can't get it across the net, and out of bounds off Bigfork. Kiara Morrow in for the Valkyries. Dug out by Hallett. Halverson. Check that. Pizzola knocks it out of bounds, and .83 for Loyola, and Grace Daniel still serving for Loyola. Service on the way. Over. Hallett spikes it down. Dug out by Clevenger. By McHugh. Across the net is Denning. And Loyola will knock it out. Point for Bigfork as they hit the little antenna. Halverson is served for the Valkyries. Service on the way. Dug out. Clevenger. McHugh knocks it across. Spiked just long by Howlett. And it'll be side out to Loyola. Number 4, Natalie Clevenger serving. And in the game is Ella Spender. And returning is Brooke Dwight for Loyola. 10-4, Loyola leads. On the way, dug out by Ritzner. Halverson. Chosey spikes it, but right into the net. And a point for Loyola, and 11-4 lead for the Breakers. Ritzner digs it out. Fox. Howlett knocks it back to Dwight. Dwight. Over to McHugh. Spiked down by Spender. Dug out by Ritzner over to Josie Howlett. Into the net. And a 12-3 lead and timeout. Timeout will be taken by the Valkyries as they trail 12-3 on your Bigfork Harvest Foods scoreboard. This timeout brought to you by the Bigfork Dental Center. Aaron C. Price, DMD, PC, 8289 Montana Highway 35 in Bigfork, 837-5611. www.bigforkdental.com. If you need to get over all your dental needs, contact Aaron C. Price at the Bigfork Dental Center in Bigfork, Montana. Well, the Valkyries are back on the floor after that timeout. They trail 12-3. And number 4, Natalie Clevenger serving for Loyola here in set number 1. Clevenger. Dug out. Halverson. And in the ball game is Chapius. He knocks it just long, and Loyola will spike it long and side out to Bigfork, and they gain a point, trailing 12-4. Bigfork serves into the net and turnover to service by Loyola. And Denning will knock it way out and side out again to Bigfork as Ritzner will go back libero and serve for the Valkyries. Ritzner serve deep. Dwight will get it out. And Sam Clevenger on the feed from Natalie Clevenger spikes it in the net. Point for Bigfork, 13-6, and Ritzner still serving. Nice serve off of Dwight. Dwight digs it out. Natalie Clevenger. Sam gets it across over to Halverson. Halverson and hit long, and Dwight digs it out as it goes back to pass line. Sam Clevenger up and spikes it down for Loyola. And a point and side out to the Breakers. Brooke Dwight, de libero, number 1, will serve for Loyola. Service. Dug out by Ritzner. Ritzner sets up Fries. Knocks it just inside. Cross court for a point for Bigfork. Nice job by Jessica Fry. Henrik, number 3, back in the game. Dana Sari to serve for the Valkyries as they trail 14-7. Sari serve on the way. Dug out by Denning. Over to Clevenger. Left-handed spike by and dug out. Halverson will knock it deep to Dwight. Over to Natalie Clevenger. Sets up her sister Sam. She spikes it off the hands. Off the block by Fry and Halverson, and Pizzola hits it, but it drops on the Bigfork side, 15-7. And back in is number 3, Molly McHugh, to serve for Loyola. Dwight digs it out, gets it back across. Dwight again. Bigfork returns it back to Dwight. And it is going to fall long as Loyola hits it deep And Bigfork watch it drop out of bounds. Howlett back in for the Valkyries. And serving is Pizzola. Pizzola serve on the way. Nice serve deep to Dwight. Dwight digs it out over to McHugh. McHugh will set up Clevenger. Clevenger off the hands of Bigfork on the attempted block. And that'll be point 4. Loyola and side out. Shaney Fox back in for Bigfork. Clevenger, Sam will serve and serves it deep over the heads of the Valkyries. And Bigfork trails 16-9. And number 10, Madison Chapius back in lineup for the Valkyries. Serving is Fry. Fry to Dwight. Over to McHugh, setting up Denning. Denning spikes it right into the net. And a point for the Valkyries. They're coming back, trailing only by 6 now, 16-10. Fry back to serve for Bigfork. Knocks it across. Nice serve dug out by Sam Clevenger. Over to McHugh. McHugh, Denning gets it across. Setting up Halverson, spiked down by Chapius. Dug out by Loyola. And spiked down and out of bounds by Denning. And another point for Bigfork, 16-11 here in set number 1. Fry to service again. That'll just be in the inline, dug out by Clevenger. Over to Nathan Clevenger. Hits it across. And Howlett in the middle. Dunks it down, dug out by McHugh. And Denning. Fox. Halverson. Over to Howlett. Howlett spikes it. Back to Dwight. Dwight digs it out. McHugh setting up Denning. Denning cross court. Howlett hits it and hits it too far. And Dana Sari cannot run it down. And a point inside out for Loyola. 17-11. And returning is number 14, Grace Daniel. And she'll serve for the Breakers. Service on the way. Dug out. And out of bounds is Halverson. Number 10, number 6, Denning spikes it right to Halverson. She reacts and hits it out of bounds. Point for Loyola, 18-11. Daniel serves. Dug out by Sari. Across the net, over to Loyola. McHugh sets up Denning. Over. And a nice spike there by Josephine Howlett. Set up perfectly by Halverson right in the middle. And knocks her right in the middle of the Loyola Breakers. 18-12 here in set number 1. And Halverson back to serve. And returning is number 6, Kiara Morrow. And the service goes out of bounds by Halverson. And a point going to Loyola. And Loyola will serve. Back. Fox knocks it. Check that. That's number 6, Kiara Morrow. Hits it across the net, but out of bounds. Another point, 20-12. The Valkyries trail Loyola. Number 11. For Loyola. Check that, number 4 was serving. Natalie Clevenger. So side out, 20-13. And number 5 serving for Bigfork. And I'll have to check what her number is. Dug out by Dwight. Dwight gets Sam Clevenger, gets it across the net. Dug out by Ritzner. Ritzner sets up Halverson. Halverson hits it and out of bounds by Pizzola for Bigfork, and a point for Loyola, 21-13. Service Dug out by Ritzner. Over to Halverson. Pizzola spikes it but knocks it out of bounds. And 22-13 as Maggie hits it a bit long for Bigfork. Ritzner digs it out. Halverson sets up Fry. Fry knocks it down. Over, and Clevenger can't get it across the net. Maggie Pizzola right there, and a point for Bigfork. 22-14. Ritzner, service. Down the line. Sam Clevenger. Oh, blocked there. Nice block by Jessica Fry of Sam Clevenger's spike. Drops it in the side of Loyola for a point, and 22-15. Ritzner will serve. Service in to Sam Clevenger. Over to Natalie Clevenger. Spike down, dug out by Ritzner. Pizzola will go save it, and Fry will get it across the net. Over to Loyola side, Twite. Over to Clevenger, Natalie, and spiked down by Sam Clevenger, the senior, and drops in Bigfork side for a point. And side out, 23-15. And number 7, Alexis Cooney returning for Loyola, and Brooke Twite to serve for the Breakers. Service on the way. Set up. Fry knocks it across to Bigfork, or on Bigfork side to Loyola, the left-handed. Number 9, Ella Spider spikes it across. Bigfork can't handle it, and the Valkyries trail 24-15 in set number 1. Game point for Loyola, and Brooke Twite to serve. Dug out by number 5, out of bounds. Tries to save it, does Fry, but no good, and that'll be the first set going to Loyola. 25-15. And we'll be back momentarily here in Loyola.
All these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want the good life every good night. You're a high one to hold, 'cause you don't even know. I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Somebody save your soul, 'cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles. All these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want your sex and your affection when they're holding you close.
Welcome back to Loyola.
I can make your hands clap.
Second one.
Said I can make your hands clap.
Goes to Loyola. 25-15 is that first set. And this first set timeout brought to you by Bigfork Dairy Queen. Fan food, not fast food. 8189 Highway 35 in Bigfork. 837-5336. Go over and say hi to Carmen and the gang. Home of the Blizzard. Sounds about good about right now. It's about 90 degrees down here in Loyola on the bus ride down. And good to be with you. Valkyries all ready to play. They'll be on going east to west on your radio now. And number 5, I couldn't figure it out, but I figured it out after the fact. That is Kylie Bradshaw, who's a defensive specialist and a 5'3" junior for the Valkyries. So Fry, along with Pizzola, Kiera Morrow out there, Halverson, Madison Chapius, Richner getting ready to come in for Bigfork as the libero. So in the front court, you got Fry from left to right, Pizzola, along with Kiera Morrow. In the back court, Halverson and Bradshaw and Madison Chapius. Brooke Twite along with Denning for Loyola in the back court. And number 4 is Natalie Clevenger. In the front court, it's McHugh and Sam Clevenger. Service by Richner. Across, dug out, and spiked down by Clevenger. Dug out there by Bradshaw. Up to Richner. Can't quite get it across, and double hit called on Richner. And a point, the first point of the second set, goes to Loyola. And back to serve, it'll be number 3, Molly McHugh for the Breakers. Service across. Dug out by Bradshaw. Hit across by Fry. Fry set up to Clevenger. Clevenger dug out by Richner. Over to Halverson. Halverson. Fry across the net. Clevenger set up, blocked by Fry. Dug out by Bradshaw. Then over to Fry, and Pizzola will hit it across to Twite. Twite over. Setting up Sam Clevenger, but is Natalie Clevenger, and Clevenger, Sam that is, will spike it out of bounds. And checking in, it'll be number 3, Dana Sari, serving for Bigfork. 1-1. Sari, service, dug out by Twite. Over to McHugh. McHugh sets up Clevenger. Clevenger hits it long as she hits it across court. And it'll be point for Bigfork. And they lead 2-1 in the set number 2. Sorry, serve. Across. Twite on the sideline. Digs it out to McHugh. Clevenger. Dug out. A nice dig there by Sorry, but hits it out of bounds. And point for Loyola. And side out. 2-2 is the score on your Gilliard Painting scoreboard. And Sam Clevenger will serve. Jump serve. Dug out by Sorry. Allie Richner. Sets up Halverson. Halverson gets it across in the backcourt. Twite digs it out. McHugh over to Denning. Denning will get it across. Pizzola over to Halverson. Halverson will set up Fry. Fry with the spike. And spikes it just long and out of bounds. And 3-2. Loyola leads. And Sam Clevenger to serve for the Breakers. Jump serve. Oh, Richner digs it out. Sorry. Over to Fry. Fry back to Twite. Twite serves it over McHugh. McHugh setting up Denning and hits it off of the arm of Pizzola. Pizzola will hit it out of bounds, and it'll be point for Loyola. 4-2. The Breakers lead the Valkyries. Clevenger to serve. And Bradshaw can't quite dig it out. It's just short. Dives for it. And point for Loyola, 5-2. Clevenger serving. Jump serve. Hits into the net, and that'll be a side out for Bigfork as they gain a point and trail 5-3 on your Montana Athletic Club scoreboard. Pizzola serve, didn't get up, throw it up quite high enough, right into the net, and she'll be replaced by number 7, Shani Fox, in the back. And side out to Loyola. And number 14, Grace Daniel, will come in to serve for the Breakers. Service on the way. Sorry. And dug out by Fox, but can't quite get to it. The other Valkyries, it'll fall on Bigfork's side, and they trail 7-3 in set number 2. So officials timeout for talking to the cheerleaders for Loyola at the back of the gymnasium not to interfere with the players trying to play the ball. So make sure they step back. I can see that. The ball goes long. Trying to dig it out. They got to stay out of the way. Service dug out by Sorry. Over to Halverson. Halverson serves it to Hallett, and a whistle blows. They're going to call a double hit, I believe, on Halverson. Service by Daniel. Dug out by Fox. Fry setting up Halverson. Halverson going across. McHugh sets it up to Clevenger. Dug out by Richner. Over to Sorry. Back to Richner. Richner's shot just short. And Bigfork will take a timeout as they trail here 9-3 in set number 2. This timeout is brought to you by the Tall Pine. Two pool tables, shuffleboards, 9 TVs for all your games on the big screen, and the kitchen is always open during football season. The Old Town Center, 8111 Highway 35 in Bigfork. Official sponsor, Bigfork Valkyries Volleyball, the Tall Pine, and Tom and Janine Babineau appreciate their sponsorship. Just be advised, come up Saturday, the Valkyries have their first home match as they'll take on the Florence Lady Falcons. Gets underway with the C team at 1 o'clock, followed by JV and then varsity around 4. Loyola, Daniel to serve as the Valkyries trail 9-3. Fox digs it out. Halverson comes over to get it, and Sorry will knock it across. Back to Clevenger, set McHugh, Denning. And Fry tries to get it across, but Denning knocks it down, and a point for Loyola. So Daniel will serve. Service dug out by Richner. Halverson going to set up Howlett. Howlett gets it across. McHugh. Clevenger. Over to Halverson. Setting up Fry. Fry blocks it. Blocked by Clevenger, or Denning, excuse me. And then Clevenger digs it out. Dug out. Nice dig by Fox. But Halverson couldn't, or Fry couldn't handle the pass. And it goes out of bounds. And a point for Loyola, 11-3. Grace Daniel. Service, a short serve. Dug out by Fox. Halverson going to set up Hallett. Hallett on the spike, off the fingertips. Dug out by Loyola. And Halverson will hit it deep. Loyola brings it up, Grace. And spiked into the net by number 4, Natalie Clevenger, and a point and a side out for the Valkyries as they trail 11-4 on your UPS Store scoreboard. Service by Fry. Nice serve. Clevenger dug out by Fox. Fry. And across by Chapius, who's back in the ball game. Denning. Set up. And a nice spike off the hands of Loyola, but they dig it out in the backcourt and get it across. And Chapius will dig it out. Halverson setting up Howlett. Howlett just digs it across the net, across the outstretched arms of Denning as they're trying to block it, and drops in for a point for Bigfork. To 11-5. And Fry will serve for Bigfork. Back deep to Daniel. Over to McHugh. Natalie Clevenger on the spike, dug out by Fry. Halverson is going to set up Chapius. Chapius with a nice spike, dug out by McHugh. Sam Clevenger on the spike, didn't hit it all cleanly. Falls in front of Fry at a point and side out to Loyola. And Dana Sorry will return for the Valkyries as Bigfork trails 12-5. Dwight back in along with Denning for Loyola. Service by Natalie Clevenger. Sorry, across the net. Dug out by Loyola. Spikes it. Clevenger And off the block of Halverson, right back at her. She spikes it across off of the outstretched hands of Hallett, and a point for Loyola, 13-5. Service. Dug out by Fox. Over to Halverson. Halverson sets up Hallett. Hallett dug out by Twite. Twite. McHugh. Sorry. Halverson sets up Fry. Halverson knocks it down. Twite digs it out. Back across. Halverson. Hallett. Back across Loyola's side. Dug out by and set up by Clevenger. And knocked out of bounds on the spike, I believe, by Sam Clevenger, and side out to Bigfork. 14-5. Service by Halverson. Over to, and Denning tries to dink it over. She's set up by Natalie Clevenger. Can't get across the net, and point for Bigfork. And 14-7. I thought there was something wrong on there. It's 13-7. Yeah, they put the point on the wrong side. As Bigfork now trails by 6 on your Bigfork Dental Center scoreboard. Halverson to serve. Across. Dug out by Clevenger. And Pizzola checked that. Chapius spikes it down as the serve comes across, but she is in the net, and a point will go to Loyola. As Sam Clevenger will serve for the Breakers. 14-7. Fox digs it out. Halverson. Spike. And a point as the spike by Kiara Morrow is long for Bigfork, and 15-7 on your Harvest Foods Bigfork scoreboard. Clevenger to serve again for Loyola. Service across. Dug out nicely by Ritzner. Fox, Ritzner will get it across on the third shot. Over to Clevenger. Clevenger's to the other Clevenger, Natalie Clevenger. And it hit the antenna. And that is out of bounds. Clearly, and the line judge clearly saw that and called it right away. And it is a point for Bigfork, 15-8. You can see that ball change directions that it hit as it hit the antenna. Bradshaw to serve for Bigfork. Gets it across. It drops it across the net. Dug out by Clevenger. Over to Twite. Back to Denning. Denning gets it across. Setting up. Chapius comes from the backcourt. Spikes it, but the block from Sam Clevenger and knocks it inbounds on the Bigfork side, and a point for Loyola, 16-8. Brooke Twite to serve for Loyola. The libero, number 1, gets it across. Duck out by Chapius. Over to Halverson, across. Sam Clevenger spikes it down on the line and in for Loyola, and 17-8 on your Bigfork Dairy Queen scoreboard. Twite to serve again. Dug out by Bradshaw. Chapius goes over and digs it out. Halverson gets it across. Twite. Oh, setting up. And off the hands of Pizzola, and then Bradshaw, and out of bounds. I said Chase Chapius. I'm so used to that. Madison's a freshman. Madison actually dug it out. And the ball, because it's so hot and they got the doors open, the ball goes out the door, and they'll have to change the volleyballs. And trailing 18-8 on your Montana Athletic Club scoreboard. The Valkyries will take a timeout, trailing by 10 in set number 2 from Loyola, Montana. The Sister Rita Mudd Activity Center from the Rams and Breakers. James LaFontaine with you. The voice of the Vikes and Vowels from Missoula, Montana. All the Valkyries, a young team in a lot of aspects. And service is Twite for Loyola. Serves at Chapius. Dug out by Kiera. Oh, nice dig there by Richner over to Chapius. Richner will knock it deep to Clevenger. Clevenger set by other Clevenger. And spike there by Sam Clevenger in the backcourt. Dug out. Richner rise and run it down near the backcourt. And this time the cheerleaders get out of the way of Allie Richner trying to dig that one out. A point for Loyola. 19-8. Brooke Twite will serve for the Breakers. Bradshaw can't quite dig it out on the serve and out of bounds, or excuse me, into the court, and a point for Loyola. 20-8. Twite to serve. Service across, picking on the freshman Chapius. Chapius, Halverson sets up Pizzola. Pizzola dinks it down the line. Dug out by Clevenger. Over to Brooke Twite. Twite getting it off to Denning. Back across. Howlett hits it across. Set up by Chapius over to Pizzola. Pizzola back to Twite. Twite up to Clevenger. Setting up the lefty. Number 9, Spender. Maggie Pizzola from Morrow. Sam Clevenger spikes it down for Loyola on the feed from her sister, Natalie Clevenger, and Richner gets a hand on it but can't dig it out. 21-8. Twite to Chapius. Halverson. Richner gets it across over to Natalie Clevenger. Sam Clevenger tries to spike it but hits it long, and a side out and a point for Bigfork. Fry returning the lineup for Chapius. And Allie Richner to serve. Nice serve in the middle, dug out. And Sam Clevenger spikes it. Richner with a dig. Halverson to set up Fry. Fry digs it, hits it deep and long for Bigfork. And that'll be side out point to Loyola. 22-9. On the Bigfork Harvest Food scoreboard. Back to serve, number 3, Molly McHugh for Loyola. Out of the way. Dug out by Bradshaw. Halverson. Richner will get across. Twite to McHugh. McHugh sets up Clevenger. Clevenger spikes it off the hands of Bradshaw, and it'll go out of bounds. And point for Loyola, 23-9. McHugh to serve again for Loyola. Cross. Dug out. Halverson. Pizzola will get it across. McHugh. And Sam Clevenger hits it long for Loyola, and side out point for Bigfork. And Dana Sari will come back in and replace number 6, Kiara Morrow, and serve. Sorry, serve on the way. Dug out by Clevenger. Over to McHugh, sets up Sam Clevenger. Clevenger spikes it off the block and inbounds on the Bigfork side, and 24-10 game point, or set point, excuse me, here in set number 2 for Loyola. Clevenger serving. And sorry, off her hands and out of bounds. And that'll be set number 2 going to Loyola, 25-10. They'll have to get their act together if they want to continue. They're down 2-0 here early in their first away match with Loyola. And we'll be back in about 2 minutes with set number 3 from Loyola, Montana.
That's not really her style. And they all got the same heartbeat, but hers is falling behind. Nothing in this world could ever bring them down. Yeah, they're invincible, and she's just in the background. And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, like the cool kids.
Well, welcome back to Missoula, Montana, Loyola Sacred Heart. Sister Rita Mudd Activity Center, James LaFontaine with you. And the Valkyries have an uphill road to hoe as they're down 2-0. I think, some of the young getting used to playing each other and some of that passing, setting each other up. They just got to work on that. First real, match of the season against a good team. They got some big hitters there for Loyola in Clevenger. She's a senior. She's been around for a long while. So we'll have to see that goes. And I hope we have a little spark here by the girls here in set number 3, so we can push this to set number 4, take one set at a time. And let's see what kind of start they get out to. Loyola will get the service to start this third set. So thank you, Heather. And getting underway here shortly. Maybe a little nerves from the team playing Loyola and getting used to each other, different from the team that actually played last year. Missing Quinn Nissen, who was a big part of that team, and she has that ACL, MCL injury, so she's out for the season, as well as basketball, talking to her, and maybe she'll be back in time for track and then next year, her senior year. So Loyola, they're going right to left on your dial. Sam Clevenger, Natalie Clevenger in the front court. And I believe that's number 7, Alexis Cooney. That's who started the thing. And in the back court, we got Lainey Denning. The libero is Brooke Twite. And number 3 is Molly McHugh. For the Valkyries, Pizzola, Fry, and Halverson in the front court. In the back, it's Sari. In the middle is the libero, Richner and Bradshaw. Service and that'll go out of bounds as the serve from Molly McHugh cross court is out off the left side and no good. Valkyries taking their lead 1-0. Pizzola to serve for Bigfork. Nice serve, dug out by Denning. Denning over to McHugh. McHugh looking to set up Clevenger. Dug out by Halverson sets up Fry. She spikes it out as Hallett will dig it out. Gets over to Halverson. Sets up Fry. Fry knocks it down for Bigfork, and 2-0 Pizzola serving for the Valkyries. Service on the way. Bit long, but dug out by Twite. Over to McHugh. McHugh setting up Danny Clevenger. Tipped by Fry. And then dug out by Richner. And not being able to handle is Bradshaw. Fox will come in. Clevenger will serve. Sam hits the top of the net, dug out by Fry. Over to Halverson, and Hallett knocks it down. Sam Clevenger will pick it up. Back to McHugh. McHugh and hits the sideline, does Natalie Clevenger. the antenna, and that's out of bounds, as you all know. And point for Bigfork, 3-1. Side out, and Fry will serve. Fry, service on the way, deep, dug out by Twite. Over to McHugh. McHugh, and then Denning. They're going to call 2 hits. A double hit there on McHugh for Loyola, and 4-1 Bigfork. Fry, service on the way, dug out by Denning. Over to Sam Clevenger. And hits it backwards because Natalie doesn't get it across the net. And it'll drop in the side of Loyola, and 5-1 on your Bigfork Dental Center scoreboard. Fry to serve, leading 5-1. Denning. Over to McHugh. McHugh set up, spikes it. Dug out. Howlett. Over to Chapius. Chapius is across the net. McHugh will set up Denning. Denning will spike it into the net, and no good. Point for Bigfork. 6-1. And Fry to keep on serving for the Valkyries. Set. Serves on the way. Twite digs it out. McHugh going to set up Denning. Denning hits it across. Blocked partially. Dug out by Howlett. Cross from Halverson. Over to McHugh. McHugh going to set up Sam Clevenger. And Clevenger nails the baseline. Cross court. And a side out to Loyola as they trail, or Bigfork leads 6-2 on your Bigfork Harvest Food scoreboard. Daniel will come in to serve for Loyola. Dug out by Bradshaw. And check that. That was Sorry. Hits it across, and Denning can't quite reach it. 7-2 Valkyries. Sorry will go out of the ball game. And Fox is back in. Service by Halverson. Dug out by Clevenger. Over to McHugh. Back to Natalie Clevenger. Dug out by Fox. Over to Howlett. Howlett spikes it down, and dug out by Sam Clevenger. Spike by Natalie Clevenger. Blocked by Bigfork, but they block it into the net and out of bounds. And it'll be side out and a point for Loyola. 7-3 on your Bigfork Dairy Queen scoreboard. Twite back in, replacing number 7, Alexis Cooney. And service by Natalie Clevenger. Dug out by Richner. Richner will Halverson. Spike down by Chapius into the net, and no good. And Bigfork still leads 7-4. Service on the way. Dug out by Richner. And looks like Bradshaw couldn't find it as Richner hit it high up, and she was looking to be set up to spike it, and it drops on the Bigfork side for a point for Loyola. And Clevenger to serve. Serves it deep. Richner. Fox. Across the net. Does Howlett gets it out to Twite. Sets up down to Clevenger. Spiking by Denning. And a point for Loyola. 7-6 now. Clevenger, Richner, Fox. Howlett will get it across the net. Dug out by Clevenger to Twite, to Denning. Richner, Halverson is going to set up. Jessica Fry spikes it down. Twite digs it out and blocked by Bigfork. As number 9, Spinder will knock it off the block by Howlett and Chapius. It goes out of bounds, and we're tied at 7. Natalie Clevenger serving. Dug out by Richner. Halverson sets up. Howlett spikes it down. Twite digs it out. Clevenger, Denning. Richner will set up. Chapius from, and a spike by Denning, drops it in as Clevenger will set up Denning and finds a hole in the middle of that Bigfork defense, and the Valkyries trail 7-8 as Natalie Clevenger continues to serve. Service across, dug out by It's Bradshaw to Halverson. Bradshaw back and knocks it over the net. Setting up is Natalie. Spiked it down is Sam Clevenger on the set by her sister Natalie Clevenger on the far side cross court and on the line. Good, 9-7. On your Gilliard Painting scoreboard, thanks to Gilliard Painting and Chip Gilliard for all your painting needs. Contact Gilliard Painting. I'll get all that information for you later from those guys. So we have a timeout here in set number 3. The Valkyries lost both the first 2 sets and took an early lead in this one and have given it back just a little bit, but continue to battle. Some good things going on for Bigfork as Coach Stalnack in her first year as the head coach, talking it over with the girls. Say, hey, you got to get in position, set it, each other up, and spike it down. All right, we're ready to play again, and Clevenger will serve. Dug out by Richner, and into the stands on a nice serve by Clevenger, 10-7. Clevenger serving. Richner digs it out, across the net, set up to Sam Clevenger, over to Natalie. Spike down by Denning, blocked by Chapius, set up, and off the hand of Josie Hallett. Set took her all the way into the antenna, and she couldn't get it inbounds. 11-7 on your Tall Pine scoreboard. They need to stop this girl. Richner, Fox, spiked by Chapius, and Chapius cross court will knock it out of bounds. And the Valkyries trail 12-7. Here in set number 3. Dug out by Bradshaw. Halverson going to set up Bradshaw. Bradshaw spikes it down the line, and it will go out of bounds, just out of bounds. Check that. That's number 6. Excuse me. Kiara Morrow spikes that one out of bounds for Bigfork. Service. Fox digs it out. Halverson looking for Morrow. Morrow spikes it. And blocked there by number 9, Spender. For Loyola, 14-7 here in set number 3. They need to stop here. They need to side out and stop Natalie Clevenger. Dug out by Richner. Richner gets it across, and Spender does him a favor. The left-hander, as Richner dug it out, got it across the Loyola side, and Spender's tried to spike it down and spikes it in the net. It'll be Bigfork service. Pizzola will come back in, and Bradshaw will serve for Bigfork. Service on the way. Dug out by Spender. Over to Clevenger's. Dwight gets it across. Up to Fry. Fry going to set to Halverson, and Halverson check that to Chapius. And Halverson trying to dig that one out, was in the net. And a side out and point for Loyola is number 6, Laney Denning, will go back to serve for Loyola. Jump serve. Dug out by Bradshaw. Over to Chapius. Across the net by Richner. Blocked by Chapius on Daniels. Pizzola gets it across. Sam Clevenger dug out by Richner. Oh, Pizzola on a spike. Dug out and out of bounds off number 6, Denning. And a point for Bigfork as they set up Maggie Pizzola. She spikes it across court and off the hands of Denning. And a point for Bigfork, 15-9. And the libero. Richner will serve Fry back in for Bigfork. Service on the way, dug out by Dwight. Over to Clevenger. Spike down by Daniel. Pizzola Drops it across the net. Oh, dug out. And Dwight will set up Daniel. Dug out by Richner, set up by Halverson. Halverson to Fry. Fry will knock it across in the middle of the defense. And a point for Bigfork, 15-10. On your UPS store scoreboard. Thanks to Brad Stodge-Hill and the gang at the UPS store in downtown Bigfork. Service by Richner. Gets it across. Duck up by Denning. The left-handed spinner hits it off the net, and Pizzola tries to dig it out. Can't quite get it back to Fry to get across the net. And a point for Loyola. And side out as Brooke Twite will serve for Loyola. 16-10. Twite service. Drops it at Richner, digs it out. Halverson drops it across. Dug out by Clevenger over to Natalie. Setting up Sam. Sam sits it to Richner. Richner digs it out. Halverson is going to set up Fry. Fry spikes it down, right down the middle for Bigfork. And side out to the Valkyries. 16-11. The Valkyries within 5. So number 3, Dana Sari will replace Kiara Morrow. And Sari back to serve for the Valkyries. Service on the way. Dug out by Denning. Spike down by Cooney. Set up. Halverson sets up Fry back in the backcourt to Denning. Over to Twite. Denning has to knock it across. Richner to Halverson. Halverson trying to find a hole. Dug out by Brooke Twite. And Clevenger, Natalie sets up her sister, Sam. Sam spikes into the net. And a point for Bigfork, 16-12, within 4. And Sari to serve for the Valkyries. Service on the way. And she serves it just long, does Dana Sari. And side out to Loyola. And a point. So Bradshaw, Richner, Sari in the backcourt. Halverson, Fry, and Pizzola in the front court for Bigfork. And serving is McHugh. Dug out by Richner. Halverson's going to set up Fry. Fry spikes it and off the block of Cooney and down on Loyola side and side out point for Bigfork, 17-13. Howlett comes back in, replacing Bradshaw. She's in the front court. Service, nice serve there by Pizzola, dug out by Twite. Sets up McHugh, spiked by Clevenger. Sam into the net, 17-14. As the Valkyries continue their comeback here in Loyola. Service, dug out by Clevenger. Hit deep by Bigfork. Fry set up by Halverson, but spikes in the net. And point and side out goes to Loyola with Sam Clevenger getting ready to serve. Here goes Clevenger, jump serve, gets it across deep, dug out by Richner. Halverson gonna set up Howlett on a spike. Oh, knocks it down just in front of Clevenger, and a point for Bigfork. Josie Howlett with a nice spike for the Valkyries, 18-15, and Fry will serve. Returning is Chapius, Madison Chapius, the freshman for Bigfork. Served by Fry. Twite. Over to McHugh, going to set up Denning. Denning tips it across. Dug out by Howlett. Set up by Halverson. Spike there by Chapius. Clevenger blocked by Chapius and Howlett. But Loyola will dig it out, get it across the net, and it falls right in front of Fry and Sari. And a side out and point for Loyola as Grace Daniel back in for Loyola to serve. Service on the way. Dug out by Richner. Fox gets it across and out of bounds on the near side. 20-15 point for Loyola. And Sari will go out. And Morrow will return for Bigfork. Daniel to Morrow. Richner setting up. Halverson knocks it over back in the backcourt. Dug out by Daniel. Denning on the set from McHugh. Knocks it in the net and side out to Bigfork. 20-16. The Valkyries they get within 4-3. Just can't quite get over the hump as Halverson serves deep. Dug out by Daniel. Over to McHugh. Daniel Medeiros on it. Spike down. Medeiros. Denning across the net. Dug out by Hallett. Halverson. Oh, nice dig by Bigfork. And it looks like Loyola was in the net at a point to Bigfork. On the return spike, it was dug out in the middle. And I can't quite tell you who dug it out, but they dug it across, and Medeiros tried to spike it down for Loyola, and she got into the net with her hand. And 20-17 on your Bigfork Harvest Food scoreboard. Hey, again, thanks to Tall Pine, 2 pool tables, shuffleboard, 9 TVs. They got 9 TVs that have been in there for all your games on the big screen. College football, they'll be carrying when they stream in the basketball, NFL. It's always open, the kitchen, that is, during football season. Service by Halverson. We're back. Over to McHugh setting up Daniel. Oh, blocked is Chapis to try to dig it out. As number 10, Medeiros blocks that. And side out point for Bigfork. Twite will come back in. Number 9, Spender. Number 10, Medeiros. And number 6, Denning. Service hits the net. And dug out by Fox. Off the official on the stands and out of bounds. 22-17. Natalie Clevenger, service. Off for Richner's hands and out of play. 23-17, so Ariel Stolnek will take a timeout as they trail by 6. Like I said, they get within 3, can't quite get over that, to get them tied up, but I think they did that and took the lead. They would push them to a win here. They're playing a lot better here in this third set. Loyola trying to close it out. Number 4, Natalie Clevenger serving for Loyola as they lead 23-17. Dug out. Halverson gets it across, knocks it out of bounds, off the hands of, I believe that was number 10, Medeiros, Avery Medeiros. And it'll be side out point to Bigfork, 23-18. Hallett goes out in the backcourt. Coming in to serve is Bradshaw. So Chapius in the front line. Pizzola along with Morrow. Service. And the serve, you just need to get it in and hit it out of bounds. So 24-18 game point for Loyola. Jump serve, dug out by Bradshaw. Setting up Pizzola is Halverson, dug out by Clevenger. Over to Natalie Clevenger. Back to Medeiros off the hand. Richard will save it and knocks it across. Does Morrow, but can't get it across the net, and that is your match. Yeah, the final in the third set, 25-18. So a much better set for the Valkyries. In set number 3, they just couldn't quite get over the hump. They had the early lead, and I thought they might run away with this one against Loyola, but Loyola seemed to get their feet and take care of business and close out the Valkyries. It's kind of hard being down 2-0 and then trying to fight your way back, knowing it's a tough road to hoe, but take your hats off to the Valkyries. We'll see them again in action coming up on Saturday as they host the Florence Lady Falcons home at Bigfork, and I'll be on the PA and line judging for that game, so look forward to catching you guys in Bigfork. I think you can live stream the video part of it and hear the starting lineups and stuff like that coming up Saturday. Again, a big, huge shout-out and thank you to all of the sponsors that make this possible to cover Valkyrie Volleyball as well as Bigfork Vikings football. The Vikings will be in action coming up on Friday at 7 o'clock. We'll get underway about 10-15 minutes prior to. We'll have a little bit of pregame interview with Coach Munson as the Vikings 0-1. A hard-fought game. They lost 20-14 in the first game against Townsend, but they'll take on the Cutbank Wolves over in Cutbank. That's 7 o'clock coming up on Friday night. We'll have that action for you live, BFSD events on YouTube if you want to tune into that. Again, thanks to the sponsors, Bigfork Dental Care, Bigfork Harvest Foods, Bigfork Dairy Queen, Gilliard Painting and Chip Gilliard, the Montana Athletic Club, the Tall Pine, and the UPS Store sponsoring us, official sponsors of Bigfork Valkyries and Vikings volleyball and football for the fall season. Once again, our final here in Loyola from Loyola Sacred Heart High School, the Sister Rita Mudd Activity Center. It was the Loyola Breakers taking it 3-0 over the Bigfork Valkyries. Thanks for tuning in and listening. We'll catch you next time. Next broadcast for the Valkyries will be a doubleheader, actually. We'll have Anaconda, Lady Copperheads coming up a week from Saturday. That should be the 14th, followed by the Deer Lodge Lady Wardens. We'll have both of those varsity matches as I travel on the road for that, and that's made possible by our sponsors. Once again, thanks all for listening and tuning in. You guys have a great night. From Loyola, this is James LaFontaine, the voice of the Vikes and the Vows. We'll catch you next time on the radio. Have a great night. Thanks.